Hey there, and Happy New Year. Happy 2022. This is episode number 9 of Third Eyesight, the first episode of this new year. I am currently recording this from my phone. I am visiting family out of New York, and all my equipment my equipment is really my desktop computer and my microphone are back at my studio apartment in New York City. And I was going to leave this past weekend to return to New York City, but there were snowstorms here where my family lives, as well as back in New York City, and to drive on the road with my family back to New York City, which is going to be a little bit too dangerous or risky. So I'm here, and that means I am going to publish an episode no matter how I record it. And because I promised myself that I would publish the next episode after the holiday hiatus on January 10th. And here we are, January 10th, listening to this podcast. So I hope your holiday season was a wonderful season. For those that it may have been a difficult season to go through, I hope it was as serene as possible or gave you as much peace of mind as possible. And if not, I hope that you had all the support you felt you needed to go through the season. And I want to thank all of you for joining me into the new year with this podcast. This podcast has just opened up so much for me personally. And I'm going to meet interesting people through making this podcast. And it's encouraged me to be more open about my intuitive skills on Instagram and on social media with family members and friends. And the purpose of this podcast was to help me and help others who listen to this podcast feel comfortable talking about their supernatural and paranormal experiences because it is still taboo to talk about these things. And yes, that was my dog shaking in the background. Sella is here with us right now. So, as I was saying, it's even though astrology is quite sexy these days, and we see a lot of astrology columns in many different news outlets talking about spiritual experiences that felt profound and really changed our lives or changed our perspective on something. I feel it's still a little bit taboo to talk about it because it's hard for many people to believe that these things can happen. And I'm not here to convince you that this is all real, but I'm here to give myself and give you the platform to want to share this with other people, to share your experiences, with other people, and give you that encouragement because there are so many people that have had profound spiritual experiences that they can't really explain. And I know that's one thing that is absolute fact. Across the planet, people of many different religions, belief systems, cultures, political ideologies have all experienced, so many of us have experienced something that has changed our lives spiritually and therefore on a very deep personal level. And I think that's worth talking about because that's what unites us are those interesting experiences. So today I want to talk about a subject that I didn't expect to talk about when I first was conceptualizing the idea of this podcast mid to late last year. And it's about my born again phase, my born again Christian phase in high school and college. So, the reason I want to talk about this is because it's an important part of my story. It's actually um, a very significant part of my story as a spiritual person living a human experience, spiritual being living a human experience. And oh my goodness, my dog just loves to arrange her bed, and her bed just hit one of those door stoppers, the metal ones that go boing. And that's exactly what you just heard. By the way, this is going to be totally unedited because I cannot edit this back at home. So you're going to hear my dog in the background. You're going to hear probably a television in my family's home in the background. You're going to hear my um, likes in between my sentences and phrases, which I absolutely do not like, and I usually like to edit them out. Here we go, unfiltered. So, as I was saying, I had a very intense born again phase in my high school and college years. So I'm going to explain first a little bit what I grew up believing as a small child. So I grew up without any religion up until uh, mid primary school, like third, fourth grade. My family is a very spiritual family, and they would always talk about my uncle watching over me, my grandmother watching over me, how people go to heaven. So I did have an understanding of the other side. And I really felt like I had a closeness to the other side in some way, but I didn't understand how exactly that was. And then I was switched to a Roman Catholic school from a public school to a Roman Catholic school in the fourth grade. And the main reason my family switched me to a Roman Catholic school is because I was being picked on in public school, and they felt that maybe going to a Catholic school, religious based school, there would be less of that. And there was. I actually felt more comfortable in a Roman Catholic school, and my grades improved. I had friends that I made, and it was wonderful. I loved going to that school. And at the same time, I had always been a closeted gay child. And going to a Catholic school, it was a wonderful experience. And at the same time, I was really struggling with the messages I was receiving from the school and from the Catholic Church about homosexuality. And at the same time, feeling so much that I am a gay boy. And so when I went into high school, in the ninth grade, I was put into a Presbyterian based, but very broadly Protestant high school. Just had some Presbyterian roots to it, but it was generally a Protestant high school in terms of its what drove its mission, what drove its curriculum. And I got a whole other perspective on Christianity because Roman Catholics are very different from Protestants, and they are both different from Eastern Orthodox practitioners. They're just all so different. These three, from what I understand, are three branches of Christianity. And so going from Catholic to Protestant in terms of the school environment I was in was so vastly different. In Catholic school, I was taught in a very vague sense that if you're a good person, you have access to God and salvation. In a Protestant high school, I was taught that if you believe in Jesus Christ as your Savior, you have access to heaven. Nothing else can get you into heaven, and everyone else goes to hell. And Catholics do believe in hell, but from what I understood growing up, there was a little bit more leniency in terms of good deeds. Good deeds got you into heaven, but the Protestant high school I went to, the message was it wasn't good deeds. It's your belief in Jesus Christ as your Savior that saves you from sin. So in high school, midway through high school, I am as I'm still a gay kid because that's how I was born, and I started. I had always struggled with my sexuality since middle school, and I just felt embarrassed of it. I wanted to change. I wish I had been straight. I had wished that I was straight. And in high school, it really hit me because people around me were dating in high school, straight couples, I should make clear. I didn't really see a lot of, I didn't meet many queer classmates in high school. I do remember there were two queer classmates I had in high school. One was always teased, and I felt terrible for him. So I had a difficult experience in high school, and it was more internal because no one teased me, no one picked on me in high school. I was very lucky. I felt very lucky to not have been bullied, but it was all internal. I really internalized the homophobic messages I was receiving through the curriculum and um, that mixed with what I was brought up with in the Catholic school and really internalizing it and becoming my own bully to the point that I became so religious that I started actually taking up Roman Catholic practices like praying the rosary every day, which for those of you who are not familiar, the rosary is a beaded necklace that is used to pray to Mother Mary, the Virgin Mother of Jesus Christ in the Roman Catholic Church, and you pray, if I remember right, there's an introductory and a concluding prayer to praying the rosary beads, but within the body, I guess I could say, of the prayer, of the praying, is praying 50 Hail Marys and 5 Our Fathers. So Yeah, and no, not Hail Marys is in the football thing. And I don't know anything about the football. I don't know what a Hail Mary is in football, but I'm not talking football here. I'm talking Hail Mary full of grace prayers. But I tried to do that every day, once a day, a whole round of the beads, for maybe a month or maybe a couple weeks, and I couldn't do it after a few weeks. But I tried that. I started reading the Bible. I started going to church, which I actually enjoyed. I actually enjoyed going to Roman Catholic Church. Um, and and I remember I would go sometimes into the chapel of the church after Catholic Mass, Catholic service, and I would sit in there and pray for this sinful thing called being gay to go away. Or if I'm gay, then fine, I'll be gay. I'm gay, but don't let me act on it. Help me not to act on it. I was really trying to live this like celibate gay life, that I know I didn't want to live, but I was so scared of being so myself that I really, in a way, I really tried to pray my own gay away. I really was my own oppressor in that respect. I so internalized the homophobia that I experienced through the messages taught to me in education, my educational experiences, and just messages from the larger culture, larger pop culture, and how people would treat other people in public. Just the little things that can really impact how you internalize some of the messages you tell yourself. And so I remember when I came out to my first friend, I had told them, I'm gay and it's something I want to get rid of. I see it like, I didn't use these exact words, but I see it like an addiction, which is so sad when I just consider that today. Teenage Juan in 11th grade telling their best friend, like, I'm gay and I want to get rid of it. And I see it like an addiction. And so this way of thinking continued into my college years. I graduated from high school, went to college, and college was a culture shock. I was at a public state college, and I saw um, uh, women wearing veils to cover their hair. I met people of different religious faiths, political ideologies, and it was a culture shock. I met people who were different from me, and I was a little nervous, but I was very open to meeting other people, and I did have that mentality. Oh, these people they're going to hell, and I'm here, and I'm a Christian, and I tried to join the campus Christian student group, and I went to a couple meetings, and they were more Protestant, and they were non-denominational, but Protestant inspired, and I went, and I didn't like it. Just wasn't my crowd, and I felt like I didn't belong, and I felt like I was sort of like, I feel like I was like lying to myself, to the people that were there, because I knew that I was trying to get rid, which I could never get rid of my homosexuality, but trying to rid myself of these homosexual tendencies, and therefore I was lying to the people that were there, and I wasn't being my full self with them or with myself, and so I think at that point I went back to the Roman Catholic Church again. I returned and I tried that again. And what changed my mind and helped me to accept myself much more was my first relationship, which was with my best friend. At that time, we discovered we had feelings for each other, and I went into a relationship with him. And though it didn't last very long, the relationship itself, it really made me feel like, wow, I am so happy being in a relationship with another man. I feel safe. I feel good. How can this be so bad? And that changed my mind completely. It helped me accept who I am much, much more. And then I started to step away from the things that I was taught in religious schools growing up. And I started to develop my own sense of what I believe God or my higher power or the universe, like what it all means and what it means to me. And the book that absolutely changed my life, after me and this person broke up, I went into a deep sadness about the breakup. It was my first everything. Okay, I was 21. or 20. I think I was 21. And the breakup had happened, and I started reading this book that was recommended to me by my uncle slash godfather. And it's called Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. And that book and its sequel, it's one, two, three, four sequels or three sequels, absolutely changed my life. I actually want to reread them because they just blew my mind. And I highly recommend everybody read at least book number one. It's a very revolutionary. It's a little edgy in terms of what it says about certain topics like reincarnation, good and evil, and the fact and it states as a fact that there is no such thing as good and evil, just what serves us and what doesn't serve us. It's a mind blowing book, and it really changed how I see life, and it continues to do so. And once I read that book, I just my spiritual life started opening up, and I started becoming more open minded about things. And I remember the first time I ever saw a psychic was, I believe, a year or two after that breakup. And I was so nervous. I was so scared. I went to the psychic. Amazing session, amazing first session. Then I saw her two more times, and the sessions were not as good. And on the third session, I'm like, okay, I shouldn't be depending on this person because what I was doing, I was calling her up for a session whenever I felt like I was in an emergency, urgent situation. It really was never an emergency, but there was a lot of emotional urgency in that day and age. And I would just text her like, hey, can I have a session? Are you free today? Like last minute. And I think it was less about her being a good psychic, it was more about me and how I was depending on these psychic readings to help me feel better, almost like the way I've sometimes used food to make myself feel better, like emotional eating, so I think I lost my taste for, or I lost my excitement for psychic intuition and learning more about it or going to psychics when I had that experience. But then I went to another psychic reading. It was a medium, and it was a group reading, and it was absolutely wonderful. And during that time, I was getting more and more interested in learning about, or at least exposing myself more to the idea of learning more about mediumship and psychic ability, but not by me learning how to do it or tap into those skills that I know we all have, just in different ways, um, but more watching more TV shows about it. So that's when I started watching Long Island Medium with Teresa Caputo. And my friends who are listening to this podcast are they probably have like a little smirk on their face, a little grin, because they know, my closest friends know that I absolutely adore Teresa Caputo. Her TV show is another thing that absolutely 100% changed my life. And at first, when I started watching her, of course, I was skeptical. Okay, this woman, she's got the hair, got the nails, and she got the tanning bed tan. I love you, Teresa. No offense, but I gotta put it out there. Um, not that Teresa's listening, though I wish she would. And I thought, okay, this woman is talking to dead people. Like, could she be a fake? There are a lot of fakes out there, and they get TV shows, I'm sure. And but I would watch. I'm like, okay, all of these folks who are getting readings from her on this TV show, there can't be this. There can't be these many good actors out there just picked up off the street to do this TV show. Because if this is all fake, then those actors are hella good. And I kept watching her, and I've watched almost every single episode of her TV show. I think her TV show has 13 or 14 seasons. And I continue to follow her and watch her latest series on Discovery Plus. That's the reason I downloaded Discovery or subscribed to Discovery Plus to watch her. I listen to her podcast almost every single week. She to me is just, she is for me just such an inspiration. And the main reason I got much more interested in watching or reading about psychic ability or past lives or intuition, all of the above. And I think I really owe it to her work as a channel, as a conduit, as a medium. I owe it to her work doing that. The Where I am today, I owe it to, like, partly to her, in large part to her. And it's just that I would notice that, well, this woman is channeling the spirits of departed loved ones to these people who are sitting across from her. and they step away healed. And I've seen her live. I've seen her live 3 times doing this work for almost 2 hours each time. One time she went on for almost 3 hours. And it's indescribable, the experience watching her read people in a live audience in front of you. Indescribable. I went to one show. My first show seeing her was maybe 6 years ago, 7 years ago. She was great. My second show was August 2021, when the pandemic seemed to have hit a little bit of a low. And I went with, double masked, and I was so nervous to go. I'm like, I want to see Teresa so badly. And it was, for me, a life-changing experience just to be there. And it was just an absolutely wonderful night. And then I saw her third time in December 2021 with one of my good friends, and she was amazing again. And she really did, in large part, change my life. And I would say, between her conversations with God and my own spiritual experiences, feeling and sensing the supernatural and the other side, those three things combined are just what have made me who I am today. In addition to the difficult experiences I had as a born again Christian. And, looking back, today, this person today is, I would say, I'm a free thinker. I can be stubborn sometimes in my ways of thinking, but I am, for the most part, a free thinker. I'm very open-minded. I obviously am very. I'm always excited to do tarot card readings for people, as some of you can tell from the Instagram lives that I do, and I I am developing my mediumship skills. And these are things that Juan 8 years ago would have called demonic and evil, of the devil. And it's mind blowing just how much I have changed, how much I've changed since then. And sometimes I do wonder, and this is a scary thing to say out loud, because then it's like, well, Juan, what are you doing all this for then? But I'm going to be totally honest. Sometimes I think, what if I'm wrong? What if my past me was right? What if I'm wrong right now with the way I'm living? What if there is something I'm not aware of that's on the other side? But then I really have to think, well, I'm so much happier these days. I feel so much more in my element. And how can that be evil? And I have seen past lives. And I know there's more to life than just go up to heaven, go down to hell. I know there's way more to the other side than that, because I have felt it. I have seen it. And if what I'm doing is evil or demonic, then why are people feeling so much better, and like as if they got a dose of healing after I give them a reading? Wouldn't wouldn't something evil want the sitter that I'm reading to step away with deception? Wouldn't something evil want me to tell them something so they are misguided and therefore experience more hardship? I just it wouldn't it doesn't under I don't understand. I'm at a loss for words, because these days I can't understand how something so evil could do so much good for people. I it's and it's I have compassion for people who do think that what I do is evil or wrong, and I'm not here to convince them otherwise, because I respect that, 100% respect that, and they should respect that I believe something differently too. And that's the beauty of living in a culture and a society where everyone tries to be in harmony with one another. We don't judge each other for our beliefs, as long as they don't overstep and restrict anyone else from expressing their belief system, Do no harm to yourself or to anybody else. One A medium that I used to follow used to say that all the time, and it's something I admire. Do no harm to yourself or anybody else. That's like, it's like next to the golden rule. I mean, it is the golden rule, isn't it? Just in different words. And yeah, so sometimes I do think, what if I'm wrong? But I'm so happy. I'm so happy, and my life is, um, external factors in my life can't be the only determinant for how well I'm doing internally. tough things will happen around me, no matter whether I'm a pagan, which I'm not a pagan, but according to some folks, I'm probably a pagan out there. But whether I'm a Christian, whether I'm Muslim or Hindu or Buddhist, no matter who we are, what we believe in, bad things happen to people. Or unfortunate things, I should rephrase that, unfortunate things happen to people, no matter what belief system or political ideology they are. And I think what makes me feel like I am the most secure in my spiritual belief system is that no matter what happens outside of me, outside of my body, I know who I am inside, and I know the God. I consider it capital God. You may call it something different, and it's 100% totally cool. I know the God that I believe in and the higher power I believe in. I know my spirit guides are there with me. I know my loved ones are on the other side and next to me and guiding me, and they're with me. I just know that so much. And that's my goal in the work that I do with Third Eyesight, this podcast, and with my content on Instagram. I want people to know that they are not alone, that they don't have to listen to that voice in their head that tells them they're lonely. And it's so hard because I've been there. I've been there. But that is the goal. That's the goal of what I do is I want you, the listener, listening right now, to feel like you're not alone, that you're not crazy, for knowing that you experience things that are out of the ordinary, beautiful, supernatural, paranormal, and that it's okay to talk about it. And it's very tricky. I'm gonna add a sub point here. It's tricky when someone like myself, who has struggled with seeking validation outside of myself um, to help me feel better about who I am inside. I do have that tendency, and that's definitely the ego. With someone being someone with that tendency, it is difficult to do this work and put it up on like Instagram and Facebook because it's very easy. I feel like it's a very fine line between it's a very fine line where the other side of that line is putting up this content to get attention towards myself, or putting up all this content to get the likes and the follows. And for the first time ever, I mean, I remember I had an Instagram 3 years ago where I was really trying to get followers, and it was just pictures of me, like, me looking cute in the fall weather with the leaves and a cute jacket, like me with my dog. And there's nothing wrong with that. But this time around, I'm like, yeah, I would love to get more followers because I want this message to be spread. Yeah, it's nice that people give me compliments on the shirt I'm wearing on Instagram or whatever it is. It's nice. But this time around, I really feel like this is more about the message than it is about me. And I'm just the channel. And I'm such an outgoing personality that I love putting myself in my videos and in my content. But what I want people to step away with is not, oh, that guy's so nice, and it ends there, which I truly appreciate. I'd rather someone step away thinking, that guy's so nice and he has a really great message to share. And the message feels like it's just something so important. Every time someone tells me, Juan, thank you for the reading. Thank you for this reading. You are such a natural. You have a gift. I always say, thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate that. Thank you for trusting me with your energy and your reading. And thank the universe for your reading. Thank your spirit guides and your ancestors and loved ones and the universe. And the reason I say that is I don't know how I do what I do, but I know it's possible because of spirit and the universe at work, being at work. And something I do before I do Instagram lives to do tarot readings or before I do a reading with somebody, I try my best every single time to meditate for at least 1 minute before doing those lives or doing one-on-one readings. And during that meditation, I ask my spirit guides to connect with your spirit guides. That's so important to me. And I do that because I'm telling spirit, don't let me be the only thing talking in this session because it's not about me. And I created this prayer for myself, and I was hesitant to share it because, sometimes you keep things to yourself as like your own little secret, but I feel very compelled to share this prayer with those of you who are listening. When I'm going into a reading, I say this, and it's something that you can say too, whether you are also a reader or a conduit or a channeler, or if you're just stepping into a space where you want to make a good influence on people or inspire people in a room. This is what I say. Spirit, or God, or insert blank here, universe, source, spirit, help me to help you heal. Help me to let them know you're real. That's my prayer, and that is absolutely the mission, the driving mission behind Third Eyesight and the content on my Instagram. Well, this went off in a tangent. But I really wanted you to go on this little journey with me of, you know, from my young days, my goodness, it's a weird way to say it. My childhood, growing up with the belief system that I grew up with, into my Catholic school and my Protestant education, into my college years, and where I am today. How much I've evolved, how much I've changed. And I do have an affinity for the Virgin Mother, the Virgin Mary of Jesus Christ, Virgin Mother Mary of Jesus Christ. And I also have a very strong affinity for Jesus Christ himself as a source of inspiration, as to me an enlightened being. I have a close affinity to them. I don't identify as a Christian, because I don't believe in the salvation story that, a human being, Jesus Christ, died to save us from our sins. I do not believe in that, but I do believe in the power of Jesus Christ. And I'll explain why in my next podcast episode, which I'm so far planning to be about my past lives and my experience remembering my past lives. So there are parts of Christianity that I do still resonate that still resonate a lot with me. And I take those things that work for me, that I know are true for me, and I leave the rest because religion is man-made. And I mean, even the things that I'm doing, I am a man, I'm a human, telling you the message I feel is true. That doesn't mean it comes without imperfection. And that's religion. Religion is imperfect. And I'm imperfect. And it's my main goal also to let people know that they are their own best source of spiritual insight. You can look within to get the insight you need in your life to move forward with something, or to gain to gain knowledge on something, to help guide you through the steps of your life, through the choices you make. And I truly believe that any psychic or intuitive person that makes anybody believe that they're the one thing that people should refer to for all the answers is not someone that is um, spiritually safe to confer with, to confide in, rather. We are all humans. There's no perfect medium, no perfect psychic, no perfect intuitive. We are all humans with filters, and messages have to come through filters, and we just have to do our best to put the filter aside, turn the ego volume down, and just share the message. And it's a challenge, but it's a beautiful experience. So, as I said, unedited, raw and unedited, Third Eyesight podcast episode number 9. Whew, that was a journey. That was a journey. So, I leave you this beautiful, gloomy, wintry January in the Northeast, and hopefully sunnier where you are, or at least cozier where you are. If also cold, hopefully warm where you are inside your home, under the blankets, with a coffee or hot chocolate. I leave you this January day with many, many good wishes for your 2022. Thank you for listening to my podcast. I'm so excited to continue going on this journey with you. As you can tell, I love the word journey. I'm going to use it a lot. Ain't the last time you're going to hear it from me. And just a little note, if you really love this podcast and you enjoy it, hit the subscribe button in Apple Podcasts or the follow button in Spotify. And you will get alerts if you want to. You can opt out of the alerts, but you can follow me with or without them. But you can get alerts on when I publish a new episode, which will be every Monday. I'm going to try my best to publish an episode every Monday, so you have an episode the rest of the week to listen to whenever you want to. And if you would like to follow me on Instagram, I can be found at Juan Francisco NY. That's Juan Juan, Francisco like the city, San Francisco. Juan Francisco NY. NY stands for New York. And of course, there's my website, thirdeyesight.media. And one other thing, I am starting to share with folks that I am open to doing readings one-on-one. So if you're interested in booking a reading with me, a tarot card reading, you can go to my website, thirdeyesight.media, and go to the contact page and reach out to me, or you can direct message me on Instagram and just tell me that you found me on Third Eyesight Podcast. And I would love to get to know those who are interested in doing readings with me. Otherwise, follow me or connect with me. Actually, you don't really have to follow me on Instagram, but you're more than free to DM me just to chat, ask questions, open up about your own stories with the paranormal and spirit. I love connecting with folks. And also on Instagram, you'll find that I do live tarot card readings maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks. And I'll do maybe 3 to 5 readings on my live, and it's absolutely great. It feels wonderful. And I would love to see you there. So if you feel comfortable, connect with me on Instagram or through my website. And that is all for this episode today. Thank you again, and I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day. Have a good one. If you have a question or topic you want me to cover on Third Eyesight, head to my website, juanfranciscospirit.com/contact, and send a message my way. If you really enjoyed this episode, leave a review wherever you listen. I'd really appreciate it.